our, for our community, that you continue to bless us in many ways. You say my word.
Thank you. Rise, give the pledge to allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the state of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible. Maybe next month we'll have a test. Announcements, just a few things here. Anybody hear me okay? Yeah, I can talk loud. You want this one? We got a sound guy here. I'm gonna go on with the announcements.
The gray one is supposed to be.
Birdman is off.
Yeah.
Windy, it's not so wet, but Birdman is off. There's still on stage
She's up till
two route
Right,
restrictions,
yeah.
a long way to go.
I don't see it.
Also, I wish I would have found this out in time for the proclamation. It's an announcement. This week is National Police Week, May 12th through 18th. National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty, for the safety and protection of others. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Police Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. So we extend that recognition and gratitude to our women and women. Okay.
Like it. Thank you.
What's the time? We have some people signed up. We're going to start with Mr. William McKee. The floor is yours, sir, for 3 minutes. Says he's not a resident.
Sit down. Hold, two. City Council, hold new, Mr. Blanco. What a mess we're in, again. The local government code, the election code, the transportation code, the field code, the administrative code, thousands of state rules that must be followed. These rules are all open for interpretation, and only a judge can resolve disputes. Patrick Blanco was once again mired in controversy, but that was no surprise to people. After all, our government body is made up of a bunch of amateurs drawn from a larger pool of amateurs. These are not professional politicians. Thank God for that. They are only burdened by the occasional presence of individuals claim they know what is best for us. Makes the point that we all make mistakes. Dinsmore made a mistake, and Moore made a mistake and should never have had his name placed on the ballot. Recognized his error and has been man enough to admit it. He has chosen to do the right thing and withdraw from this contest for the good of the people. Wishes are honest and fair, should be given the respect he deserves. To attempt to see him is not for his benefit or the benefit of the people, but the benefit of one individual who wishes to demonstrate only what he wants matters. He does not care one bit for what Dennis wants. He is only interested in depriving Mike Smith of his legitimate place on the council. There are two legal opinions, different arguments. There are opinions only, and a court of law is the only authority qualified to determine what is correct. The council has no expertise to rule which is relevant. The only thing the council, people, absolutely be certain of is that Dennis Moore has officially withdrawn his name from consideration. I call on the city council to respect his wishes and move on to seek the next eligible candidate for the council. Time to show the people what this council stands for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Kenneth Welch, also not a resident.
Great. I'm Kenneth Welch, not a resident of Blankford, but I am a concerned member of the community.
That's not, go ahead, I'm good.
I'm sorry.
Leading up to the May 4th election, Brady Achilles, candidate for city council, announced he was no longer interested in the position.
You can't hear it. You can't understand what they're saying.
Times of chicken.
Leading up to the May 4th election, Brady Achilles, a candidate for city council, announced he was no longer interested in the position.
I'm gonna see if I can put it up. I don't think I can, but let me just see if I can put it up here.
He was ineligible, and he publicly acknowledged that fact. Neither of these events occurred in time to remove their names from the ballot. Therefore, the election went forward to fill 3 positions on the city council. Dennis Moore Jr. received the 3rd most votes. State election statutes make it very clear that as a result of his ineligibility, even though he got enough votes, a vacancy for the 3rd position was created. On May 5th, following the announcement of the election results, Dennis Moore Jr. submitted a written statement to the city regarding the vacancy. He wrote, "Considering the potential divisiveness and controversy this could cause, I'm respectfully removing my name consideration for filling the vacancy. Tonight, we will canvass the vote, thereby reconciling any issues that arose during the conduct of the election. We will vote on a proposed ordinance, including Dennis Moore Jr. as duly elected, authorizing Mayor Arnold to swear in the 3 top vote getters, including Mr. Moore. All members of the city council have been made aware of the legal vacancy created by Mr. Moore's eligibility. Accepting the votes cast for Mr. Moore and approving his election to the position must be considered a dereliction of duty on the part of anyone voting to approve this election. Accepting this vote for Bobby Mack and Candy Carville is appropriate. However, Mr. Moore should not be seated. Rejecting those votes will leave the decision to fill the legal vacancy to the incoming city council. Mr. Moore's May 5th written statement where he indicated he wanted to be part of the healing, he would respectively remove a name from consideration for filling the vacancy should be honored. He has thus far shown great character with his forthright statements. He should be welcomed as part of the healing process, but not as a member of the city council. The new city council members, Mike Smith received the next highest number of votes. He has shown high character, served the community well, and has shown a desire to continue. Please follow the law, appoint Mike Smith to the city council, and let's begin the meeting. Thank you.
Next up is Jimmy Clayton.
I don't have a comment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jake Palmer. You have a question mark on your, whether you're a citizen.
Well, I was gonna make a deal with you.
I'm curious what it is.
If you were to stop announcing that I'm not a resident of Blackville, I'll stop announcing it.
Are you a citizen?
I do have property in Blackville, in the city of Blackville. I am a taxpayer. So I hope I'm qualified. At any rate, I'm waiting for that. I've been informed that you have once again prevailed in finding candidates who run for elected office that are ineligible. That you have gone to the point of convincing them to stay on the ballot until it's absolutely too late for movement from the ballot. I have, as everyone else has already mentioned, I have read a heartfelt plea from Mr. Moore.
I'm told that you need to address your comments to the entire council.
Okay. I have read a heartfelt plea from Mr. Moore that in the interest of preventing more divisiveness and controversy, I am respectfully removing my name from consideration for filling a vacancy. And I would just ask, have you once again prevailed in convincing someone to change their mind? Fail. If you don't do the right thing, council, this decision is going to be made in a state district court. There's no question about it. It's got all the earmarking for it, and it will be resolved in the state district court. And despite what legal counsel may have told you, whoever hired them, latest legal counsel mouthpiece, that there is a statute, and that statute says if there's a vacancy, it can be filled by the council members. That's correct. But what a state district judge will do is he will examine all the history involved in this whole thing. And he will come to the conclusion that a young man was found ineligible, and Mr. Moore, who I've only met twice, I don't know him, I don't know his family, I think they're out of it. But a young man was found to be ineligible, and he announced, and if it stopped that, it would one thing. But he said, "But, you know, I'm ineligible. If you vote for me anyway, and I garner enough votes, I can, in essence, prevent other people from getting elected that qualified. So vote for me." And a state district judge is going to see this and come down on the side of fairness and equality, and he's going to say, how do you reward someone who was disqualified but convinced everybody to cast 150 illegitimate votes, preventing other people from getting elected? So I would just tell you that I would encourage the council to do the right thing, because a state district judge in all likelihood is going to determine that those 150 votes are going to be thrown out because they're illegitimate. And that's how I hope it's going to be.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Wayman Lightfoot. Resident.
As I came up here with a smile on my face, I'm gonna walk away with a smile on my face. The disclaimer, I do not know Mike Smith. I may have shaken hands with him at some time in the past, but that would be the extent of my association. I also do not know Dennis Moore. I know members of his family, and I think that Mr. Moore has handled his disqualification in a professional manner. For many years, I owned the insurance company that wrote an insurance policy called horse mortality insurance, basically life insurance on horses. Horse racing can be a rough and dangerous event. During the course of a race, one horse may negatively impact another horse, which is commonly known as a foul. Foul can be lost by a jockey, a trainer, or by the stewards observing the race, basically the judges. If the stewards allow that foul call, the offending horse is placed behind whichever horse he fouls, or if there are multiple horses, he will be placed behind those. The horse racing industry strictly monitors and enforces these rules because they know their sports future is totally dependent upon the betting public's belief that the results of the race is fair. The public must believe that the outcome is predicted solely on the athletic ability of the horses and not on human manipulation. We had a horse race here in Blanco this past week. We call it the Blanco Derby. We had 6 candidates entered in the race, running for 3 places, or in horse parlance, win, place, and show. First and second place finishers, Bobby Mack and Kenny, are not in question, but there seems to be controversy over who finished third. Dennis Moore Jr. finished third, but according to my understanding, he's been disqualified due to legal interpretations. So who finished third? For me, the simple and correct answer is the horse, the candidate, who came in fourth. You move him up to the third position. Simple, clean, and representative of the voting result. Just like the horse racing public, the voting public, i.e. the voters, must remain confident in the integrity of the election. That is based on the results of a free and open contest. Of the eligible candidates, Mike Smith received the third highest total of votes. I do not know the legal ramifications, but common sense tells me that he should be awarded the third seat. Ben Franklin said that common sense is not all that common. I am appealing to the city council to exercise common sense. There's 100 disenfranchised voters. Mike Smith is not placed there in that chair.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up, Gary Courier.
Not a resident.
He's in the TJ.
Well, I wasn't originally speaking about chickens, but it seems like the topic of the conversation is on the election, so I'll speak about that. Okay. I get a view over?
Yeah.
Okay. I was originally going to speak about chickens, but however, from the speeches of the people here tonight, it seems like the topic of the discussion is election. So let's talk about elections. Instead of claims of Russians' collusion and interference, mysterious ballot dumps at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, or for us old timers, hanging chads, Blanco election controversy centers around the trivial issue of when was business more registered to vote. I'm sure that during tonight's meeting, it will become clear that there is a conflict in the Texas election law as to when a candidate is considered to be registered to vote in Blanco. I'm also sure it'll be brought up that the Texas Secretary of State, the highest authority on election matters in the state of Texas, has made it very clear that in situations where a candidate is not registered to vote by the following deadline, wins the election, and is registered to vote by the time he is to take office, he should be seated on the council as duly elected and qualified winning candidate. There is no vacancy. The reason behind the Secretary of State's ruling is the recognition that there are ambiguities and inconsistencies in the Texas election law, and that the courts, in addressing such ambiguities and inconsistencies, against disqualifying a winning candidate. Referring said that the election be decided by the voters and not by the courts or election officials. The issue of voter registration had no bearing on the outcome of the results of the election. The results would have been the same as if Dennis submitted his application for voter registration 27 days earlier. Everyone here admits Dennis got more votes in the election. That such votes count in our ballot. It is undisputed that he won the election. Not one of the 148 voters who voted for Dennis cared when he was registered for office. None of them feel that they were misled in any way as a result of his voter registration, and none of them would change their votes in light of controversy. His voter registration gave no unfair advantage to them versus the other candidates in the election. What we had is a attempt by a few persons, some of whom aren't even Blanco voters themselves, to silence the overwhelming majority of Blanco voters who clearly voted their choice on who to serve on their city council. And they based this on certain technicalities which had no effect on the election. Barring the running of another election, we'll have 2 council members who tonight will be their last night on the council after many years of service for the city council. And their conduct tonight will only serve as a testament to their true character. They can either, one, follow the guidance offered by the Texas Secretary of State and publicly recognize Dennis Moore Jr. as being the validly elected, qualified, and eligible to take his seat on the council, in which case they will be remembered as honorable gentlemen who, in one of their last acts on the council, ended the threat of the Blanco's democratic process and sought closure and reconciliation on a potential divisive issue, thus demonstrating their devotion to the city of Blanco and its citizens. Or 2, they continue their public comments on the controversy, allowing it to smolder and threaten the opposing citizens of Blanco.
Thank you, sir.
Number 1.
Council, citizens, had an election. And the city council runs this county. The city spoke, city people of this city spoke, and elected 3 people to city council. And now, because of some of this qualification, really, if that's the case, someone should have not put him on the ballot. He was officially put on the ballot. If you're going to not consider him disqualified and hold another election, you are not the one to put our people on city council. It's us to decide. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a letter submitted by Wayne Costello.
Okay, I'm trying to try to help. Okay, this is a letter from Wayne and Martha about now they couldn't be here tonight. and it's not regarding the election. It's about the dark sky ordinance. I'd like the new council to hear the statement so they can be thinking about it in the upcoming month and do whatever research they feel necessary before they make a decision at the next meeting. And this is regarding, an item that was on the council last month, the dark sky, ordinance violation. I agree with the mayor that the preferred way to handle these complaints is informally without any citations being issued. My fear is that even if he does contact each of these 11 businesses, he soon will be overcome with the details and follow-up that will inevitably be necessary. Neither he nor you have time to do this. I have another 5 to 7 businesses to file complaints on when I return. Plus, there have been preventative work to be done, making builders, contractors, and businesses aware of the requirements before it becomes a problem. The solution is to contract a part-time person specifically to monitor and enforce the city's outdoor lighting ordinance and pay for it with HOT funds or hotel occupancy tax funds. That doesn't mean that citations will necessarily need to be issued. The person can do whatever the mayor is trying to do and encourage voluntary compliance. That is the way to go, but it will be harder for a business to ignore a city official than it is to ignore a private group like Clinton County Friends of the Night Sky, which they have done. As I mentioned, one of our members will be making a friendly check on the status of each of these complaints each month and will report the status to our board. We don't want these to drop through the cracks. Sincerely, Wayne and Martha Gosnell, and they are Blanco residents on River Run. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. That concludes the folks who signed up to speak. We're moving on to City Hall staff presentation, starting with one.
So good evening, council, residents of Blanco. Normally, when we're in Fires building, we actually have the overhead, but here we're able to do that. So I'll make this as quick as I can, informative. So my report starts with Lavender Fest. The office is closed on June 7th. Hopefully, I'll see a lot of you at Lavender Fest. Always have a good time. Meter update. Tonight, new council will be reviewing the meter update. We'll give you an update. The update basically is that we're ready in the next few weeks to start working on that. There's some financial issues that we're reviewing, and there's a couple legal issues that we'll discuss as well. But that basically will be our full steam ahead on that meter replacement system. Lift station this week we're supposed to have final walkthrough on it. The project engineer for that, Bethco, had some family business he had to take care of, so hopefully that gets done in the next week or so. But it is operational, as I mentioned last month or so. It's been operational. We are doing the final walkthrough. I want to talk a little bit about the budget calendar. So this happens every year. You have a new council, and then we start looking at the budget. And basically, the two biggest dates that you need to know about is we do a budget kickoff internally on June 30th, July 30th, budget set. For that, during that time, in June, I'll be getting with council members talking about what they want, what their ideas are, and we'll start working on that. September 10th is actually the council will meet to adopt the tax rate fee schedule and budget. So those are the main points. You have the budget calendar and all the stuff. Then one of the last things I want to mention is that last week, and I already mentioned it to you before, but for the public, we worked on this for a couple of years. The Texas Market Development Board gave us a $3.9 million, what it is, project. Basically, that $3.9 million was low interest, about 1 or 1.5% lower than what the common rate is now. So we're probably talking somewhere in that 3.5 to 3.75%. 3.5 million of that will be loans, and then 500 to 3.4 to $512,000 free money, which is a grant. Those three items, which were discussed in 2021 council at that time, I made those with the Palomino line, 9th Street line, and the Sierra line. The other thing I wanted to mention is you're going through different months, you go through these different water projects. So you're always looking at new opportunities, partnerships, always looking at ways to conserve our water, and get more water. So you want to tell the residents know, we're always looking at water conservation. To receive more water. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Sasha, not here, go on, please. Chief, acting chief.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, quickly, I'm just going to go through the numbers this month. Our numbers are down drastically. However, our number of calls are not. Our numbers are down virtually in part to the number of officers who something like that. And so, moving on to the next thing, I was not prepared for other call just now, so I didn't have time to prepare for it. So I was in the standard program that I addressed it. A special council meeting. Four?
3 weeks.
Yeah. I've reevaluated that, and I've got it down to 3 items that I'd like to count, which is still the $5,000 sign-on incentive, which would be paid over 2 parts, so it wouldn't even fall within the same budget year. And then a $25 a month stipend for anybody who speaks any foreign language. And third was, sorry. Anyway, those are the main ones. Oh, which I'm removing off of my list right now because I don't have something to do. And I have been actively recruiting, trying to get applicants in here. So far, I haven't been unsuccessful.
Thank you.
Our current staff is at,
Thank you. I know you're working very hard. I appreciate that. Question?
Well, we did hire a receptionist.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Now we move to convene the canvassing authority. I serve as chair of the authority, and I want to make a statement before we canvass the votes. Free and fair elections are the firm foundation of our government of people, by the people, for the people. Perhaps no issue in our time is more important than upholding the sanctity of the Constitution by ensuring open, meaningful, and legal elections. The struggle of losers challenging election results has become commonplace. This is nothing new. My first conversation with our municipal attorney about this issue was on May 7th. That was after election. In that conversation, he told me that the issue at hand is highly debatable. He presented both sides. I asked if he could, in good conscience, argue in favor of certifying the election, and he said absolutely yes. It's a perfectly legal position, and it affirms the will of the people. He also said the Secretary of State's guidance is strongly in favor of certifying the election. Because the ultimate decision rests on my shoulders, I've dug into this quite a bit. I see my job above all is to get this right. The past week, I've spoken in depth with a longtime municipal attorney, seasoned elections attorney, our county elections administrator, the mayor, the Texas Municipal League, Texas Public Policy Foundation, and the Texas Secretary of State Elections Commission. Probably spent about 30 or 40 hours. All said it. They believe I have no legal choice but to certify the election. Some question the legality of the city's investigation, which got us into this situation. I spoke at length with the outside counsel paid by the city for his written opinion, which some have flogged as fact, and which till today constitutes the sole public discourse on this issue. Among all the people I spoke with, This attorney is entirely alone in saying that I can and should overturn the election. I've come to understand that to do so would require me to take 4 sequential leaps of legal logic, one upon the other, and would quite possibly be a violation of the Constitution in and of itself. The city has since formally engaged another paid attorney, a well-regarded Texas elections expert. His formal opinion is indeed fully in line with all the other advice I've received, including the Secretary of State's, and it strongly repudiates the prior minority opinion. She concludes, absolutely, I have no legal choice but to certify the election as it stands. This is an opinion paid for by the city. The specific allegations against Dennis and related call to overturn the election are novel, unprecedented, Byzantine, and directly against the strong recommendation of the Secretary of State. It is important to understand is considered bedrock legal principle in Texas that, quote, any constitutional or statutory provision which restricts the right to hold public office should be strictly construed against ineligibility. That means where there are disputes, we are to interpret any questionable areas in favor of eligibility. That's the bedrock principle of the law. Election challenges like this are rarely even accepted by judges, and those rarely go against the candidate. And the fact remains, there has been no official legal challenge made to this election. These are the 4 questionable assumptions I would have to accept as fact if I were to officially endeavor to overturn the results of this election. I would have to decide each one strictly against eligibility, that is, against the bedrock principle of election law, one upon the other to justify overturning the election. First, due to the delayed processing time after he submitted it, Dennis technically missed a February 16th deadline for registering to vote here, and this disqualifies him from being a candidate. This is highly questionable at best. It is doubted a judge would even consider such a claim, let alone overturn an election based on this technicality. Now that said, the validity of this claim is based on another assumption, which has much greater impact than stretch. And that's number 2. The February deadline for voter registration is the one that counts for eligibility to serve. The Secretary of State says in no uncertain terms that it is not the February 6th deadline that matters, whether there is a second later deadline that actually applies. This is something no court has dealt with. There's no legal ruling one way or the other. Either way we go, we could be a test case. I don't want to be a test case. So that's why I believe it would be wise to follow the Secretary of State's strong and clear specific advice to resolve this issue. They say so long as Dennis is registered to vote by the time he takes office, then he is perfectly legally eligible to take office. This means even if he actually did miss the first deadline, which is highly questionable, that is irrelevant unless they said, one example is that if he gets convicted of a felony, maybe you can stop it. According to the Secretary of State, because Dennis is registered now, he is therefore eligible, period. Number 3, after having to make those 2 assumptions, I have to accept that the city had legal grounds to reconsider or investigate the certification of Dennis and follow the formal proper procedure for doing so. This is disputed, especially considering no formal challenge has ever been made. They say the law requires an opposing candidate with an appropriate time frame to provide conclusive documents to the appropriate authority. This did not happen. Number 4, assuming I make all these leaps of legal logic in the contrary to the bedrock principle. Number 4, the mayor has power to undo the results of an election based on all this. Even if I were to take these leaps of logic, I say that Dennis did miss the February deadline in a way that's qualified. I say the February deadline is the one that matters, Secretary of State. I said the city actually had legal grounds to review its official certification and follow the proper procedure. It is still highly debatable whether the mayor has the right or power to serve as judge, jury, and executioner in this regard, to actually undo the results of an election. Many state that a mayor's actions to certify are a ministerial function, meaning a rubber stamp. I shall certify. I have no legal option. There's a real possibility of attempting to overturn this election, but itself be a violation of the Constitution. Fact is, after effectively suspending his campaign, being presented with a controversial opinion without context or dissenting view, which he accepted as fact, Dennis still beat the next highest candidate, term incumbent by 42%. The will of the people cannot be more clear. And this is germane here because I'm told this is a key thing any judge would look at in considering whether to accept the challenge. To follow a path accepting each of these questionable assumptions to overturn the election is like going out on one limb after another, after another, after another. The final destination would be a thin and shaky journey that does not seem like the wise path to be. So it comes to this. I am officially going to perform what I believe to be my required ministerial duty as mayor, and I hereby certify that Dennis is a qualified candidate. Official position. My official position as the presiding authority and final decision maker is fully legally qualified to be a candidate and to serve on as a Midland City Council. He won by a wide margin, and the results of the election are absolutely valid, have not been officially challenged. I find no merit to the allegations that have been made to warrant overturning the election. I can't say for sure that the city followed proper procedure in the first place. Furthermore, I deny that I, as mayor, would have authority to overturn the election in this instance, even if I wanted to. I refuse to make Blanco a radical test case and deem that to set a legal precedent, giving mayors the power to cancel a landslide election. The sanctity of our electoral process is too important to put as us in such a way. If anybody wants to question my decision, I challenge and encourage you, welcome you to file a chapter in court. Let the right legal authority decide if justice is one way to take. And just to note, that would be a lawsuit against the city of Blanco and not against me. I'm just performing an official function. This was my decision to make, and I've made it. I've researched, sought wise counsel, prayed about it, slept on it, and I'm fully committed. We are facing many important issues in Blanco. This is not one of them. Congratulations to council members McClone, Cardinal, and Ward for your fair, overwhelming victories. The people have spoken. It's time we put this in pleasantness behind us. Thank you, God bless you. Okay, I'm officially signing certification. The election, I'll be back. Dennis J. Moore, Okay. Right. Consent agenda. I've been asked by Councilmember Smith to take item number 4 and move to the other business, so I should do that. So the consent agenda is just the 3 items here. Okay. All right. So that means the minutes from special meeting and the budget adjustment from minor equipment account. Or do I say something real quick about that minor adjustment?
Talk about item, oh, you're talking about the
Number 3 in consent agenda.
the minor equipment.
Because I want to look at the date.
So what's it, what actually have for minor equipment, the piece part is $10,000 for, what I understand is almost replacement of that system that costs $12,603, which is a variance of $2,603, and we want them not to have to see it. So after I approved that, mentioned it had to actually be done as an adjustment. $2,603.
Thank you. So there's two items that were considered for the consent agenda. Items number 2, April 19th. Budget adjustment. Conversation. Second motion accepted. Right.
This is about 2 and 3.
Items 2 and 3. Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second. Second, all right. All in favor? Okay. Those two items pass. So we'll take the next item as new business item number 1, which is the administrative line. All
Yeah.
yours. Yeah.
I just wanted to make a note that I come to the meeting during executive session.
Got that?
Yes, so
Okay, with that annotation, item number 1, is there any more discussion on that? Motion to, okay, second.
Second.
Okay, favor. Now, item number 4, Councilmember Smith, you asked us to. Separate from the.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a quick statement. I'd like to thank everybody in the city council. Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank everyone that went to city council and was willing to serve. I want to congratulate those that are successful. I don't know that I can turn a blind eye to the era that was discovered, but I also was a candidate. That reason I accuse myself.
Any other conversation on this? So my understanding, this is a ministerial function that we shall.
Call for a motion.
Do I call for a motion for the approval of ordinance 2024-0003, general election canvassing and returns following the official results of the May 4th? Is that the motion to accept that? So moved. Is there a second? I need second. Thank you, sir. We have one recusal. All in favor? Thank you so much. It's done. We're in our new city council. Council, start making your way forward. Cindy, Bobby Dennis, come on up.
We're gonna start with Bobby.
How are we doing?
I, Bobby Long, do solemnly swear or amplify that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money, or promise any public office or employment, giving or withholding of a vote at the election, which was elected, as a report to secure my information, whichever the case may be. So help me God.
I, Robbie Swan,
I, Bobby Long,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
to execute the duties
of the office of city council,
of the office of city council,
city
of
of the state of Texas,
Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
serve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
faithfully execute
of the office of city council,
office of city council,
city of Waco,
city of Waco,
of the state of
of the
Texas,
state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my abilities
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and the laws
of the United States
of the United States of America
and of the state.
and of this state, of the great state of Texas. So help me God.
I did Stewart Jr. Do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of city council, city of Waco, of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
Okay. Let's bring this back into order. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations, y'all. There is no new business item number one because there is no vacancy. Consideration, discussion, take action on mayor pro tem nominee. Mayor pro tem for this one.
Well, if I have to make a recommendation, and anybody here can, if I have to make a recommendation, I would like to recommend Bobby from Council. If you would accept, and that's, would agree.
Is that a motion?
No, I'd like to know if you accept that. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we make council member Bobby.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Now we need to designate persons authorized to sign.
I like to volunteer.
Absolutely. We need one more?
Yes, and it's usually the mayor pro tem. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that our two new signers on the checking account be Mayor Pro Tem Bobby Mack and Councilmember Doris.
Second. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you very much. Okay, Chamber of Commerce, street closures. Let me give this presentation. All right.
Mayor, city council, council, thank you all again for being served. Thank you. So, Lapid Festival is coming right up. June 7th through the 9th are our dates this year, and just to be sure everybody knows, our time frame is noon to 6 on Friday, 9 to 6 on Saturday, and 10 to 4 on Sunday. So we are requesting street closures again this year, beginning at 5 p.m. on Thursday, June 6th. Reason for this is to ease the process and setting up big tents. The closures can go in stages if we need them to. The street closures that we need are 2nd Street from 3rd Street from 281 to Pecan Street from 4th to 3rd, or actually Pecan Street all the way to 2nd Street. So Pecan from 4th to 2nd Street, and 3rd Street from 281 to Pecan, just those 2 streets. So the big tents go in first on the end next to Cranberries, that big L, that beer and Texas made tent. They start on that end. That gives us a little bit of time for pharmacy to close and Virginia's Cuts and Pearls to close, so they can move down the street. The biggest issue that we have is on 281 on that 3rd Street side. So we request that those go up at Mr. Moore's old blacksmith shop, even the 419 to be able to conduct business through the rest of those streets. That street, 3rd Street on to 2nd, block 1st. After those tents are set, they head up to Pond Street. So we've had a problem in the past with that a little bit, with this there. If you go around and remind them the day is coming, to ask their patrons ahead of time to park off of the Pond Street, we still have a little bit of issue, but we can get those barricades up as close to 5 o'clock as possible. Really helpful process to go a little bit faster. A little bit of clarity, we do not use the buyer's building. It shows on the agenda that we use the buyer's building. That's been a couple of years that we have not done that. The EMS parks the box on the bridge on the street between 2nd and 3rd, so we don't need the buyer's building. We have anybody that needs to come in out of the heat, we bring them in before. Just wanted to give you a few stats for this year where we're sitting. We have 94 arts and crafts vendors, in 110 spaces, with an 88% return rate on our vendors, which is great. We have 13 vendors on our Texas Made tent, 11 food vendors, and 3 wine vendors. Parking will be at the high school again. This year it'll be at the high school stadium rather than the high school building construction. Once again, have a shuttle that runs from the parking location to the square, and the square to the farm and back, and a round trip to East parking. Incidentally, speaking of parking, I know that several years ago we did have an ordinance that's placed on the pecan bottoms declaring that a park. Just like to maybe throw it out there for consideration that there might be some sort of variance that can happen with the pecan bottoms. Our parking, as you all know, is becoming increasingly difficult. Thank goodness to the owners and sites that own the property on the river before you get to the bridge. On 4th Street, we are able to park vendors there, but I just told you how many vendors we have. It's a lot of vendors, and we can fit them in there, but it's not ideal. In addition, we have volunteers coming in, we have the beer and wine people coming in, and being able to utilize that pecan bottoms even those 3 days a year would be very, very helpful. I know it's designated as a park right now, it's grass. So just as a reminder, this is our 19th year for Lavender Festival. We took a year off of the pandemic. At 18 years of parking cars there 3 days a year. There's still grass there. There's still things going. It's just fun. I'm not speaking for market days. I know they were using market days for bigger parking also. They have an option that we do not have, and that is the Second Mile Recreation Center. They park their vendors there. It's a little bit closer, nice parking lot. It's enough to accommodate that we don't have that option for Lavender Festival, as the students and the kiddos there take money for our visitors to park there, goes towards their sponsorship. So for tonight, we're asking for those street closures, and we would like for you to all consider if at all possible between now and festival about that. Any questions?
I know what a hardship it was when you lost that parking.
Yes.
No, in Great Britain, what the parking lot is called, it's a car park.
It's hard.
Park is a park. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you for what you and the chamber do. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So the question before us is to approve the street closures. We're going to add in the parking conduct. This time, there need to be an official ordinance or variance to do that. Biggest improvement for parking there.
I'm a little reluctant to allow parking. We discussed that with some other members of the community. Will we allow that? Maybe find a have a meeting there, or I go build out a parking on Concord. But absolutely willing to make a motion to allow any street closures required during by the Chamber of Commerce during the Lavender Festival, for dates necessary. All street closures necessary.
Motion is second. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of approving the street closures? And thank you so much. Okay. Or there's this ordinance that we need to, I guess it's an administrative thing.
This is really a ministerial admin cleanup item. Or so ago, maybe more, I don't know exact date. Council in the middle of discussion regarding these ordinances, or these provisions of our EDC. Councilman Smith actually, in the middle of discussions, made a motion to repeal these two provisions that were cited that limited the ability to have loose livestock around all public ways, and also maximum height of weeds, which you may recall were quite controversial at the time. Council voted to repeal those items. Now our publishing company needs to codify, we pay them to codify all of our ordinances, etc. They need to codify this, and they need an ordinance to do so. So this is merely to put that same resolution in a different form. I urge you to pass. Any questions?
I'll accept the motion. Okay, Candy has moved. Second to this ordinance. Second. She had it here. All in favor? Unanimous? And it is mere coincidence that feral chickens are officially set free. Number 6 is a discussion about possible contract in place with future meetings.
All right, so Mayor, you remember we used to hold our meetings here and get a large crowd. Councilmember Moats had a question if you have this meeting here. No problem with that. Let's turn it on to the meetings. The question for the council is if they'd like to consider having a meeting here or keeping it prior. That's what the Councilmember Moats has an idea.
If the council wants to continue, I had spoken with the council member and ahead of time that I had already waived my stipend as council member, and she was willing to agree to do the same thing, and we were going to ask for council's report if we would like to have a meeting here in the next year that that council said the grant.
So zero budget.
Exactly, zero budget.
Very, very interesting.
If you guys want to open the discussion. What's public thing? Would like to have the meetings here? Yeah.
I think last time when this came to council, there was concerns about staff time setting up audio visual. I don't know if that, if we still have the same concern with that.
So there's always advantages and disadvantages. Tonight, you couldn't get the screen to work. So, you know, there is idea of having to put it back and forth. But of course, we work for you, so if that's what you want. I mean, I probably feel just, you know, quite neutral about it. So it does take a little bit more work from everybody, including y'all to get down here, but it's very helpful. We'll work with our. Yeah, and sometimes in a lot of citizens, and sometimes it depends. I mean, it just depends on whatever you want.
I have a few more questions or comments. I have a question, I guess, about executive session. When you do executive session, does everyone have to meet the building? Is that something you're okay with? There's usually people.
How we did before, that everybody actually has to be outside. They still in the premises, but we haven't really been able to have executive session and have it here. So yes, people have to, and they have to come back. So it's not as convenient for the residents either. So I mean, that's the other plus and minus.
And I guess my only other comment was this location isn't as central as the virus building is right in the middle, equal distance for everyone to come. And you also have to basically have a car market here. So if you can't drive, you can ride.
Fires is easier to do. That's why we've been doing it. But
We have to do it as a 6-month contract. We just do it month by month.
I think we're gonna do it one time, but I thought by re-engage and it seemed like I was just putting it out here 6 months. If you want to go month by month, and you know, there may be months that someone wants to do it outside, but we'll see.
So that's a conversation. If I want to make a motion.
One committee for 1 month.
Let's just do month by month.
Would we like to have next month's council meeting?
I sort of like to have it as a part.
The next month?
Yeah.
Okay, we won't move.
If we like do month by month, like this month we had it here, do we need to vote on that at the council each time, or just when we're expecting large crowds? Well, we just leave it the same, like.
Councilman, I think one consistent, I don't want to confuse people. I mean, personally, so if we're doing, let's do at least for a few months at a time, but we can do it month by month, and, you know, whenever it becomes where it's not, where it's cumbersome, or we don't want to do that, or you don't want to do something, then y'all can just tell me, let's have it back. We have to make sure that we communicate to the public, so people don't end up there or here.
I did that.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Phelan, we're going to do paperless for now. Unless there's a there. Yeah. We're just going to take these. Thank you so much. Okay. Moving on to old business, I'm going to make a note that, and I think old business number 2 of them been requested for the executive session, so there's just one item on old business. And board, if you could present a note that Acting Chief Thornton has amended or modified his license.
Oh, yeah, he has. So, Mayor, members of the public, council, the reason why the city is looking at doing a retention and recruiting program is to make sure that we can actually retain the officers we have and then get qualified candidates. And not saying that any one thing will do that, but this retention, basically, these ideas of retention bonuses, including with the salary adjustment we've already done, hopefully we'll start taking a step in that direction. So one of the items was implementation of $5,000 retention recruiting bonus with the line of recruitment retention objective, a structured $5,000 incentive will be formulated, and I think she mentions it here how they do that. So saying this correctly, it was $2,500 and $2,500. So you have it in front of you. And the other item also wanted to be as item 1. Item 2 is bilingual incentive program. So 1 and 3 are the items that you would be voting on. For now, the whole cash that offers a corporate position. We'll come back others that are on there. But it's,
Yes, Mark. Or this next question, to Mr. Thornhill, how long is your normal field training officer program?
16 weeks.
So if we approve this as it stands, they won't get any type of recruiting stipend until 16 weeks into the job.
Yes, sir.
what I'd say, I think the reason for that is because you don't want an officer that takes a job, leaves before the 16-week FTO approval, and then when that person leaves, they still got.
Thank you, sir.
More questions, conversations? What's being asked to do is items 1 and 3. Yes. Pension improvement and then.
I do have one more thing. Maybe. I do believe the officers that remain with Blanco right now have been through a lot. I believe the community does appreciate them. I myself, if the council would like, we'll get their words on it too. I noticed that you've considered a $5,000 retention bonus for them, but you considered the $3,200 as part of that retention bonus that was given as a raise already. And that you want to add an additional $1,800 cash back.
Yes, sir.
Check. I would be more inclined to give the officers that stuck around through the hard times some loyalty to us. I would like to see them get the raise, but an additional $5,000. There is one thing I would, on your recruiting for new officers, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got 4 patrol officers still, or 3?
I have 4.
4 for the detective.
No, that's 5 with the detective and myself. But one's leaving. One of those officers is leaving.
That's sad to hear. I would like to cap until the budget season gets here to hiring for your numbers, only an additional 2 patrol officers. That's my idea. The rest of the council's got to weigh in on it. But I want to take care of the officers that stuck around. But now with the one that's leaving, I want that position replaced, filled up. If he's leaving, I don't consider that as one of your hires. We need that position refilled as well as 2 hires. But I don't want to go back up to 11 right now. I'm not willing to commit to that. I know the budget's already budgeted for that, but.
Councilman Rogers, I appreciate it. Okay. About the position program here. My hearing that you.
I would like to add on to that retention program. I'd like, instead of an $1,800 cash bonus to the officers that stuck around through the hard times, I'd like to give them $5,000.
Yeah. What would be the budget impact? Is that they're fine?
So the budget impact that you're talking about depends on the officer. See, but as far as the budgeted officers, I believe that your budget for next year, that's you're looking at $50,000, right? So
Well, the change he's suggesting is for point B, that the incumbent officers have already received $3,200.
right?
That not be counted as their bonus, and they actually get, instead of 1,800, they get full 5,000 for those officers. That's correct?
That is correct.
So it's going from 1,800 to $3,200 more for those.
I get it. Well, right now, the few officers we have, this budget year, there's not going to be an issue.
Okay.
If we look at next year moving on, then the amount of money that is, which would be for 5,000, let's say, like 10 officers, 5,000, then that would probably reduce the 11 officers. And so if you do the math.
Yeah, but right now we're looking at
This is the one-time retention.
it's a one-time thing.
I get it. I
just want to make sure that it's there.
Yes, it is.
So there's 4 people that would get this right now?
Well, as a detective.
Well, one that is leaving doesn't get a reduction on it.
It would be 3, and I'm not included. So I
So
never included myself in any of these numbers.
Oh, we.
yeah, absolutely.
But we would. Okay. Yes, we.
So there'd be 4, acting chief, Cornell, and 3 others. This is just a one-time adjustment. Yes, sir. Okay, so are you going to make a motion along these lines? Somebody else? Okay, so Bobby's moving that we pass this with the amendment that on item B1, 1B, that we actually get those officers. That's the motion. Plus.
One of them was notice, right? He's not going yet. He's not getting it.
Okay, so motion's been made. And second, any more discussion?
Would you clarify that?
All in favor? Yeah. Okay, unanimous and passed. Got it. That's, thank you. Okay, that's part. It's, okay, so we are finished with this phase of our meeting. We're going to be going into executive session. I'm holding both points. We're going to be talking about contract with Performance Services Incorporated, Texas Water Company, water treatment plant, economic development project, talk with the attorney, initial office holder briefing, budget process, review of vendor contracts, litigation of legal matters, and personnel. It is now 7:13, and I hate to say we have to ask you all to all leave the room because this is our executive session. All right.
Can I get a photo of an ice?